What is up, everybody? This is Black Guy Senpai, and I am here today with my special guest. Who's going to talk about Brave. And coincidentally, last night we had a decent episode about Brave on Cardfight Vanguard, so we'll talk about some of that stuff too. So, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Navataru, Black Guy Senpai's online buddy, and I play Brave.
All right. So, do you have any accolades with Brave to hopefully give some credit to your character?
Uh, Nothing too major, to be honest. I did take it to regionals last year in the fall, about October time. I went 4-3, and the third loss was essentially just actually all of them essentially were my opponent sacked me with a trigger at the very end, and that really sucked. Although the first game was kind of my fault, but all of the others were, yeah, just Vanguard logic.
Yeah, that does suck when it comes to that. So, what made you want to play Brave like over like Blasters or Galahad or Alfred or anything like that, like Garmor and stuff like that?
Actually, I played MLB back in the day a little bit, but that was when Break Right era was prominent. I played MLB because I thought it was a lot of fun doing like these cheap little shenanigans and then double critting my opponent for fun.
Hmm.
Then I stopped playing, and then when G era came about, I saw Altmile, and I thought the card artwork looked really cool. I was kind of a fan of the Blaster and Blaster support aesthetics, and I thought Altmile kind of fit that description too. Is aesthetically, it was looked like a cool card, and during the time when they're trying to introduce a bit of a power creep, his Generation Break 2 ability and his Break Stride ability to give two units 5k power at the time was kind of big in that it made columns quite powerful. And I was a fan of that. Like, Royal Paladins are suddenly starting to hit like a tank. So that kind of made me want to pick it up as it was brand new. It's a trial deck, and it's a fair shot at trying to build a deck rather than trying to compete over a $300 MLB deck when I first started the game. So uh, that was the original reason as to why I picked it up. And then as they introduced more support, I became a fan of the whole superior calling shenanigans you could do. And it kind of made the deck fun.
Okay, so basically, you just now you like if it was just because of don't want to pay $300. I'm gonna play this. This dude's got abs. Now I like it.
I don't know about the abs per se, but the armor was cool.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, the lack of armor. I mean, it's not like you told me that you were gonna rub a stick of butter on top of his abs and eat him like they're some biscuits. But yeah. Anyway,
No
so
comment.
so what's your what would you say is your favorite unit out of the entire deck?
Ooh, that that is a tough one. Um, okay, I think if I had to pick one right now on the spot, I would just pick the Altmile line. So Altmile, the grade 3 version himself, and any of his stride forms.
Okay, but which alt mile grade three? Because we now have three grade three alt miles.
Um, hmm, that's a good question. I would go with the original Altmile grade 3 actually.
Okay.
The Blue Sky Knight Altmile.
All right. Yeah, he's all right. It's expensive, but he's all right. Well, expensive as far as cost for his skill, but
I wasn't even thinking skill, I was thinking more of like aesthetics. Skill wise,
oh,
the Heavenly Transcendence is obviously better for the fact that he is almost cost less in a sense. And I'm just kind of curious to see where the Deities Ultimile takes things, as he's looking pretty good so far.
yeah, especially from that episode from last night. Um, so basically, we got like a little taste of it, like like we've been saying, like last night, the new episode. How do you feel about the Brave keyword, and what do you think it needs to get from the rest of G14 so it can become meta instead of just
Ooh.
this rogue deck?
Honestly, I think this is a topic where anyone who's played Brave can have an input on it for hours and hours on end. But to keep it short and simple, I think practically the Brave keyword sucks. It's really hard to work with. And the key thing here is it's due to the way Bushiroad designed the support around the keyword. It's not necessarily practical in every sense of the word. Is it functional? Yes, it is. I may get some disagreement on this, but I think Brave in itself is a functional keyword and it has a lot of promise to the way it's laid out. But I think Bushiroad did not necessarily take the correct approach with how Brave should have been played, or maybe they didn't give it to the right clan per se. Because Brave is, if you're in Brave with 3 cards or less, you're already in a poor situation, right? So I'm expecting to get some sort of a colossal power boost offensively and defensively, but neither really seemed to happen in Altmile. So that's where the biggest drawback is because the support doesn't live up to the how should I put this? The support doesn't live up to the restraints the keyword is putting on the clan.
So basically, you're
So
saying like, sorry to cut you off, but
yeah, go for it.
you're basically saying like, for what's expected to be to have the requirement of it is not worth the payoff.
Essentially, yeah, because there's been a good handful of times where I ended up drawing, like having one card in my hand and I'm in Brave. And then Vanguard does a triple drive check, and now I have 4. Everything is working fine, except now I cannot proc Sonic Gull at the end, or I can't get off the remainder of Brave effects because now I have 4 cards in hand. And I really like the draw one from Sonic Gull isn't even the big issue. The issue was I needed the additional counter charges for next turn to go off even more. So the way they have it designed, it's really not helping the case. And there's only so many starters like Electos you can run or draw into before you're kind of out of options and you have to enable Brave through other means.
Yeah, because like I've been playing around with Brave, and like I've been finding myself in a situation like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I can make it work. But for now, I'm just putting it down until we get G14.
Right.
Because like right now, um, I don't feel as if the deck is gonna do too well in the current meta with like chaos and overlords and stuff running around.
Mm-hmm.
What do you? How do you think it's? How do you think Brave performs with like in the current meta, and even in the future meta, like with the Stargate booster, um, with the Stargate booster getting ready to come out? How do you feel?
Uh, kind of a interesting question because I only just took it to regionals pre GBT 13, right? So it was the format where Brave was playable without being hindered too much. With the advent of 13, now you have Aquaforce running rampant and hitting like a truck. So Brave doesn't necessarily have the defensive power to deal with that. Overlords, Brave is kind of okay in that matchup, to be honest, because Royal Paladins have the ability to tutor and superior call. They don't really care about you retiring their stuff. Denial Griffin's an issue, but outside of that, they could kill the entire field. I'll just call another one. It really doesn't make that big of an impact as one would think. And I've been testing it a little bit against Overlords. I would say it's about, I want to say it's about 50-50, but I'm not sure. I haven't done like a whole lot of testing yet. But yeah, my guess is it's about a 50-50 in Overlords, but since they're kind of going away, it's a With Stargate, it's really who can push harder and faster because Victor is really, really powerful now. And D Police is just Vanguard is swinging huge numbers. And Ultimile just doesn't have the kind of capability to guard. So I think right now Ultimile is not going to fare well in the current meta. There might be a couple of decks it can put up with, but overall it just cannot compete a whole lot because other decks are capable of pushing really big numbers, and Ultimile just doesn't have that kind of strength or defense power to deal with it. So maybe GBT14 could fix that.
I mean, so far it's shown kind of sort of a way to fix that a little bit, but not really fix it. It's like, hey, look, we know you have a cut on your arm, but look at this. We have a shiny new stick. And that shiny new stick is Immortal Holy Sword Fides or Fetus, however you want to pronounce it.
Yeah.
They don't have like all the costs or anything from it, so the skill's not completely confirmed, but it's a blanket wide over the course of the turn skill, and it's an axe skill. You flip something up from your G zone with the same name as his unit, and then if the number of your opponent's guardians is one during the battle, your unit with the brave ability attacked, which most or all of them should be at this point. If you're at him, its attack will hit. So that means like PGs still hits. They have to waste another 5k shield or another whatever else in their hand. Um,
Right.
yeah, and it's just really really nice. So it's like, oh, you put it on a PG. All right, cool. You gonna put something else down? No. All right. Um, I think
See,
that's really cool.
it is, and I thought that was a really neat effect. And I like when Bushi gets creative like this. Like, I really like it because that's what makes the game fun. It adds a whole new element of unexplored territory. And I appreciate that. It's what's keeping me in the game, really, and preventing me from just dropping it with all this insane power creep going on. However, with that said, right now, with the skill revealed, it's almost like they're engaging us to make smaller pokes rather than larger pokes. Because the way I play Ultimate right now, I'm making 21k plus columns consistently and more readily. So the fact is, they're going to be dropping 2 cards to guard any attack at any given point, anyways. So that skill is kind of eh.
Mm.
However, if I'm not making those numbers, then the skill becomes a lot deadlier. Does that kind of make sense?
Kind of, sort of. Would you want to explain a little bit?
Yeah, so like for example, like Suleiman, Redon, and Ariel Divine Knight, right? You have a power boost to the front row by 6 and 9 and whatever you want to lay down, really. You're making these optimal number columns that are going to hit for at least a 15k guard. If I'm on Fidesz for the turn and my rear guard can hit 21k, that's 2 cards to guard already, right? So if they drop it, Fidesz's skill was kind of moot. It didn't do anything. However, if they try and G guard it or PG it, then yeah, then now it's starting to come in handy. So that's what I'm trying to say is that now we don't with the new unit, we don't have to focus on making as big of columns as we once used to, which is nice. So we can conserve our resources on other ends and means. Because a Solomon smacking my opponent for 16, 17k is going to force out 2 card guards, and I don't have to put the extra resources in to push it to a 21k column.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely a better way of putting it. Cause like the way I was thinking, I was just trying to wonder how to get around that. Like I'm like, anything over a 10k shield is gonna kind of suck because they'll just throw it down anyway. But
Exactly. Yeah, and if you kind of recall our game that we have for when you tried out Brave against mine, I was swinging at your Vanguard with like 35k columns with Transcendence. It's either large to multi-card guard or nothing.
yeah, those are dark times we don't want to talk about in our life. Um, but the other part of Fidesz's skill is we don't know. All we know is that it requires brave, and when he attacks, pay the cost, which we don't know. Search your deck for 3 cards and call them the separate rearguard circle. Um,
That I like.
yeah,
That I can get behind very easily as it reinforces an additional push, and the cards you call probably won't be strong enough to, force a 2 card guard, but thanks to Fidesz's skill, it will.
yeah, and I think one of the better parts is it happens before the drive check, so you're thinning your deck some more,
Yeah.
and you get to put the power on the rear guards. And if for some reason Kagura roasted all your rear guards, you still got you some go in there.
Exactly. However, I'd be a little concerned about Chaos, Messiah, and Mega Colony.
Um, yeah,
Because as of right now, I haven't seen any support that unlocks or gets around stun or anything like that, because that's kind of worrying me. Superior Call's not going to be able to do anything if those mechanics completely shut down your field.
yeah, yeah. That is very, very much so true. Hopefully, Bushiroad shows us in leaks and previews soon that they'll have a way to deal with it. I think sometimes but they can't give every single clan that. Like right now, Aquaforce, Victor, um, they have ways to unlock. Blau's technically gave Victor another way to unlock as well with the Blau crit trigger,
Mhm.
which
Really, really overpowered. Like,
yeah,
I feel Aquaforce should get that.
yeah, I definitely agree with you. Oh, at least Blue Wave should have gotten it.
Yeah.
Um,
But no, like honestly, a lot of clans have ways to get around locking nowadays, which is why they kind of shifted Chaos to ripping cards right out of your hand because they realize that, hey, any rearguard I lock is just gonna get removed, killed, or sent back to the deck somehow.
yeah, which is kind of bad, but I guess it's just their way of balancing out the meta for Chaos. So, the next thing that I want to talk about before we get too far into this is the new alt mile. It
Hmm.
seems like he has the same wording as the Destiny does as far as I'm sorry, not the Destiny, the Purge. It seems like he has the same wording as him, where it's on ride or beginning
Oh,
of your
all the new grade 3 skills that are
yeah
on call on ride or on stride.
yeah, and it's like,
Yeah.
hey, Soul Blast One, call a Brave unit. Like, I think that's pretty good because
Yeah.
it gives you a board in case it got roasted or it got locked. And if you do get a unlocked unit, there you go.
Hmm. I think it's a neat way to actually give decks an early game without really giving it an early game. Does that
Hmm.
kind of make sense?
Yeah,
So yeah, I thought that was a neat way for Bushi to introduce early game without overstepping too many boundaries.
yeah, and yeah, it has to be a brave unit, so you can't do things like Jewel Knight Sword me. You can't get that grade 2 8K that's like, I'm gonna go Soul Blast one or Counter Blast one, get the grade 1 6K Soul Blast one draw card. You can't do any
Oh,
of that stuff.
Venon?
Yeah, you can't go get Benon. You can't go get Hope Song Angel unless Hope Song Angel for some reason has Brave and I don't know. Like, you know, you can get that new 10K, apparently a 10K vanilla, but
A petition for Bushi to make Hope Song Angel brave.
please, please, Bushy.
Please.
Oh man, but yeah, so like, hopefully this alt miles just like it proves to put it back where it needs to be, because he's part of the main character group, but
Mhm.
he's like sad to say, like Neo Nectar surpassed him, and it's like, come on, dude, come on, Bushy.
Yeah, to be honest, like every time they've released the trio support, Ultima's always kind of been getting the short end of the stick, or he's always been shafted in one way or another. And it's really sad to see that you have one of the main clans of the game, a main character as well, and yet the support is like on a different scale compared to the other two.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's sad, but I mean somebody has to lose.
Chronojet can lose.
No, that's main character. It's triple sack. Um, get new god form that looks like a Digimon card. Uh, and has a really cool sword that Alt Miles should have gotten instead of a
Right?
yeah. Like I'm just saying, like Chrono
Like,
Visor, Chrono
yeah.
Visor Heritage looks really cool.
Oh, he does. Like, I was looking at the swords of the Grade 3 Ultimiles. He went from a cool scimitar to a lightsaber looking thing,
Yeah, that was
back
cool.
to a bendy sword looking thing.
Yeah, those are cool. Um, so what do you think? Like right as of right now, what do you think about the Dex matchups for Brave?
Oh, honestly, I don't think outside of maybe retiring, I don't think Ultimile can handle control in any way, shape, or form. It's going to be quite tough as a matchup. The only survivable matchups it has are decks that have aggression with low number of attacks. The second you put like five or more attacks into a deck against Ultimile, then Ultimile starts to die. So something like Aqua Force. Aqua Force will poke Ultimile quite hard in the early game, and it'll live it. It's just the second and third stride Alexandros that will confirm Ultimile's death. But the nice thing is, however, Ultimile kind of has the whole superior call multi-attack shenanigan, which means that it can push back just as much. The only issue is with that pushback comes a lot of heavy cost to the effects and skills, and outside of Brave, there's no way to regain those resources you've spent. So you have to make sure that Brave is enabled for you to regain those resources.
Hmm.
And yeah, as of right now, I would say something like current Nova grapplers, current DP, not Stargate, pre Stargate. uh, let's see. Aquaforce, I would say, is kind of like a 40-60 matchup for it. Uh, yeah, any deck essentially that shows little form of control and just more of like taking a stick and smacking your opponent. I think Ultimal can kind of deal with them. Uh, Nubatama is an interesting one. Nubatama is where I would say it has a little bit of an edge over it,
Why is
but in a worst case scenario, it's probably a 50-50.
so? Why would you say it's more? It has better a better edge against Nubatama.
Because, first of all, it's a red clan. Red clans tend to have a not so good hand size.
I mean,
And Ultimile is a multi-attacking deck, and it can also push out pretty decent numbers from the get-go. So if Ultimile can have a good push first stride against Nubatama, the lack of hand from Nubatama's end will make it so that their dominate turns will actually not be as powerful as you might think. Yes, they'll hurt you and they'll, kill your field in some way or shape or another, but you can push back, and that second pushback is what's going to hurt them even more. So if you can get one good push against Nubatama, it hurts them. And that was actually my first matchup in the regionals too. I made the mistake of not going into Brave Lancer when I should have, but other than that, it was kind of me actually being able to kill the Nubatama player by a second stride. He somehow miraculously got all four of his heal triggers to activate on top of like double critting me. So yeah, like and this wasn't not too long ago either. Like this is pre support for Ultimile and Shiranui from Set 14. So I think Ultimile definitely can push Nubatamas to the edge for sure.
well, so before we head out, um, if I were a brand new Brave player, I'm starting from scratch. What would be some
Hmm.
units that you would recommend to get?
Uh, I'm assuming here that budget is not a problem,
Okay.
but Heavenly Decree Ultimile for sure. Then you also have your Suleiman. You have PG is kind of a optional choice if you like, depending on how you like to play your deck. But either Hope Keeper or Security Knight or something. I forget his complete name, but
Regius.
the brave, yeah, Reggie is the brave PG. Well, they're both brave, but either or can work depending on what kind of playstyle and tech skill you want. Then you also have the Ultimate crit trigger. Stride fodders are essential unless the new Ultimate can tutor free striding, which would be sweet.
Yeah, we really would.
I would love to see it. And hmm, honestly, there's a lot of new support coming out, which I think will be replacing the current set of cards. But also Sonic Gull or that Mage card that we got in the trial deck. They both have the same skill of retiring, draw one, counter charge two.
Yeah, just one has gold foiling.
Yeah, I just got Sonic Gull because that card artwork looked way better.
Also
So
Davos.
yeah.
All right. So thank you Navu for sitting down with me for this interview. We know you had a busy time up there up in the north. um
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's kind of tough hunting moose every day,
I mean, you're on a
but
Zamboni, so it's okay.
yeah, fair enough.
So
Actually, I ride a polar bear sometimes, but
oh, that has to be handy. So, any shout
very.
outs? Any shout outs you want to give to anybody that you know or people you don't know? You want to confess your love to some girl or something?
No, no, just gonna stick to my ab miles.
Oh, yeah. Don't worry. Hopefully, we don't find any more posters in your room of you rubbing butter on Outmiles' abs. Anyway,
Don't
ladies,
worry, you're safe from that.
ladies, gentlemen, and others, I've been Black Guy Senpai. This is Navutaru. Thanks for watching or listening, and I'll see you guys sometime in the future.